Get ready for the end of an era. One last outing for Adidas as master of the NHL's uniform universe. But they're not going out quietly. They're going out with a bang. Stick around for a look at what's new in the new season for all 32 teams as Aesthetics presents Jersey Watch 2023 NHL Season Preview. First, a very quick shout out to the members of the Aesthetics channel and a special stick tap to the icons. I just want to thank you all for your amazing support of my work. Hockey season is back in full swing, and that means it's time to get caught up on fresh logos and jerseys around the NHL. I've got updates on every team right here in this video. We'll start with the big event games before going team by team from Anaheim to Winnipeg. You can quickly jump to your favorite team with the chapter markers in the video description or by scrubbing to the time codes you see here on the screen. Or just sit back and enjoy all of the updates.
Heritage Classic.
The biggest news since my last video was the unveiling of the jerseys for the NHL Heritage Classic. Edmonton will host Calgary as the Battle of Alberta goes outdoors for the first time. And it all happens just a few weeks into the season, October 29th at Commonwealth Stadium. For their uniforms, both teams will turn the calendar back 70 years, paying tribute to teams from the 1950s. As rumored, the Oilers took inspiration from the Edmonton Mercuries, an amateur team that represented Canada at the 1952 Olympics in Oslo, where they won gold. It's kind of a reverse version of that retro jersey, maybe a sneaky way for Adidas to bring back the reverse retro theme for their final year. Among this jersey's unique features, the player's number will be seen inside the oil drop on the felt crest and on the helmet as well. But if you're thinking that's a lot of numbers on the uniform, here's an odd quirk. Sleeve numbers are placed only on the left arm, not the right arm, a feature of the original Mercury's sweater. Same story with that oddly placed captain's patch. The uniform is finished in tan gloves and pants to evoke the leather gear worn back then. The Flames opted for a tribute to the Calgary Stampeders, a pro team who claimed the Western Hockey League championship in 1954. This jersey has some great details as well. The felt crest features a redrawn version of their primary logo with fiery details inside the flames. It's all wrapped in a circle with the team's name as a nod to the Stampeders logo. The sleeve numbers sit within the extended red shoulder yoke, and the jersey itself is that old vintage white. Both jerseys have felt numbers on the back with beautiful stitching details, and both reference the Battle of Alberta on the inside of the collar. It's all the makings of a great-looking outdoor throwback game.
Global Series.
The NHL Global Series returns to Sweden in November with 4 teams making the trip overseas. The Red Wings, Wild, Senators, and Maple Leafs will all get together for a series of 4 games over 4 nights in Stockholm. Unfortunately, this event does not involve special uniforms, just a shoulder patch for each team. We saw that during the preseason, in fact. The Coyotes and Kings went to Melbourne, Australia for another edition of the Global Series, but that was the first time the NHL used this branding for exhibition games. In the past, international preseason games have been under the banner Global Series Challenge, but then those have usually involved NHL teams facing off against a local club, in Switzerland and Germany, for example. I'm guessing the Aussies didn't quite have a team that could stack up.
Winter Classic.
On New Year's Day, Seattle plays host to the NHL's marquee outdoor game as the Kraken face off against the Golden Knights for the 2024 Winter Classic at T-Mobile Park. So far, it's been surprisingly quiet on the jersey front. The event logo was released back in June, but as the season gets underway, we still have not seen the team uniforms. However, we do have a good idea of what the crest will look like based on a leak of hat artwork published by Sinbin Vegas back in August. There's a red version of the Kraken's S with the tentacle silhouette replaced by a contoured word mark. That's reminiscent of what the Seattle Metropolitans wore a century ago. Does that mean the Kraken will finally break out those barber pole jerseys? As for the Golden Knights, a new V shape was seen alongside a new Vegas word mark. No way to guess what their jersey might look like based on this, though some reports suggest a beige or vintage white base color. We should find out for sure very soon. probably about 3 minutes after I published this video.
NHL All-Star.
After that, it's NHL All-Star weekend in the hockey hotbed of Toronto. Event logos were released in June with an odd wrinkle. There are 2 different sponsors, one for the US and one for Canada. Presumably, you'll see one or the other depending on where you live. As for the jerseys, no word yet, but we typically don't see them until just a few weeks before the game, so that'll be sometime in January more than likely. But the rest of the branding package has been revealed, and it employs a lot more of the yellow that I was questioning when the primary mark was first seen over the summer. I still don't quite understand it, but all of the simplified versions of the word mark use yellow lettering. Then there's this icon with a yellow star, an alternate version that looks like this, and the most bizarre bit of All-Star branding I've seen in a very long time, with a puffy version of the NHL shield, all in yellow and black. I'm really intrigued to see what this whole setup ends up looking like, because there's also this background pattern, which honestly looks like a kid's bedsheet from the 1980s. Anyway, we also have our first look at the All-Star Skills logos, and as we can see from these 2 versions, you can either have the year or the sponsor, but not both, I guess. On the other hand, the French versions have the year, whether the sponsor is present or not. I'm not sure this year's branding was particularly well thought out, or maybe it was a case of too many cooks. And lastly, here is the logo for Fanfare, which is fully encompassed in yellow.
Stadium Series.
Finally, the NHL special events will wrap up on the weekend of February 17th and 18th for the 2024 Stadium Series at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. And strangely, at this point in the calendar, there's still no primary event logo. Kind of curious what's holding them up. Stadium Series uniforms, on the other hand, typically are not released until about the midpoint of the season. But the teams taking part will be the Flyers and Devils on Saturday, followed by the Rangers and Islanders on Sunday. And that gets us through what we know about the major NHL events at the start of the season. Now, we'll go through all 32 teams in alphabetical order.
Anaheim Ducks.
The big news out of Anaheim this year is the Ducks' 30th anniversary season. This includes a new anniversary logo and shoulder patch, and more importantly, a special third jersey designed to spotlight elements from franchise history, including that eggplant base color and the Mighty Ducks era crest. Their home and away uniforms remain the same this year, but with a few extra patches. The white road jersey has a 30th anniversary mark near the right shoulder, but it's on the left for the home and alternate sweaters because it's been displaced by a new sponsor patch. That's kind of a shame. Still, it should be nice to see the eggplant and jade return. The Ducks announced 15 nights where their new look will be worn. All home games, including opening night on October 15th.
Arizona Coyotes.
No big changes on the Arizona front, but Coyotes fans should expect the maroon alternate uniform back in action for its second season. Created by fashion designer Luigi Villaseñor, it was the only third jersey given out at the NHL draft in Nashville over the summer. Beyond that, the home and away Kachina jerseys remain in service.
Boston Bruins.
It'll be a big year in Boston in terms of their uniforms. The Bruins are celebrating their centennial with a lot of new looks. They have a new primary logo this season that pays tribute to their original spoked bee. And just like that one, there are 2 different colorways for use over black or white. With that comes a completely new jersey lineup. And rather than copy-pasting something from their history, they've been a bit more creative, taking throwback inspiration and adding some modern flair, the metallic gold to be specific. There's also a new third jersey with a crest based on their 25th anniversary sweater, with felt details and everything. The rest of the jersey is based on what they wore during their 50th season, and of course all throughout the 1970s and 80s. They've scheduled these 11 alternate uniform nights during the season, all against fellow Original Six teams, including opening night on October 11th against Chicago. They'll also be seen twice outside Boston for games in Toronto and Montreal. On the right shoulder of all 3 jerseys, this 100th anniversary patch is seen, as is the small but dreadful sponsor patch on the upper chest, carrying over from last season. But back to the 100th anniversary logo itself, which looks phenomenal. It'll be nice to see that throughout the season, along with its secondary offshoot designs. By the way, I just wanted to do a quick comparison to the other 2 NHL teams who have marked their centennials, the Canadiens and Maple Leafs, of course. No other team has gone as far as creating an entirely new set of uniforms for one season, but Montreal did employ about a half dozen throwback designs, most of which predated the NHL itself. And like the Bruins, Toronto did introduce a new primary logo for their anniversary year in 2016. However, that was a permanent redesign. Boston plans to return to their previous primary logo next season, although I kind of hope they don't. This one is a big upgrade, if you ask me.
Buffalo Sabres.
Buffalo isn't making any big changes this year, still looking great in blue and gold, and their black and red throwback third jersey will be back for a 15-game schedule starting on October 21st. All three jerseys will feature this RJ patch in memory of longtime play-by-play announcer Rick Jeanneret, who died over the summer. It's positioned on the left side of the chest, presumably because the Sabres plan to add a sponsor on the other side at some point. Speaking of which, they did also announce a new home helmet sponsor for this season.
Calgary Flames.
We talked about Calgary's Heritage Classic appearance earlier, and there's good news if you like their Stampeders-inspired jersey. It'll be worn for 2 more games against the Oilers, once at home on January 20th and back at Edmonton again on February 24th. The Flames announced their entire jersey schedule for this season. By the way, I love that more teams are starting to do this, including their home reds, road whites, and those black, blasty thirds. The extra Heritage Classic dates were posted to their website. Another noteworthy item from those uniform schedules is the red jersey being worn once on the road in Vegas. That's January 13th, which makes me think the Golden Knights are planning to wear their as-yet unreleased Winter Classic jersey at least once at home. And finally, the Flames will raise a jersey to the rafters this season. Mika Kiprasov's number 34 goes up on March 2nd.
Carolina Hurricanes.
Carolina will have a returning favorite for their alternate uniform this year. It's not the 25th anniversary throwback from last season, as I previously reported. Instead, it will be their original red Adidas jersey. My source getting his red Canes jerseys a little mixed up there. The team's full uniform schedule is seen here and includes 13 third jersey dates between October and March. As a bonus, the green Hartford Whalers uniform is back for its 5th season in action, slated to be worn just once as the Hurricanes host the Devils on February 10th.
Chicago Blackhawks.
We're not anticipating any new Chicago jerseys for Connor Bedard's rookie season, but you will notice a small black circle on the upper chest. The patch reads Rocky and will be worn in memory of team owner Rocky Wirtz, who died over the summer. Beyond that, the Blackhawks will honor Chris Chelios on February 25th when they retire his number 7 jersey.
Colorado Avalanche.
Nothing new in Colorado this year, just the Avs' standard home and away uniforms, and I do expect their navy blue alternate to return as well.
Columbus Blue Jackets.
Same story with Columbus. No changes here. The Blue Jackets did switch to navy blue pants to go with their white road jersey last season, keeping red for the home look. That said, the Jackets were spotted experimenting with blue-on-blue during the NHLPA Rookie Showcase in September. And for that matter, the Prospect Tournament in Traverse City delivered another odd combo: white jersey, blue helmet, red pants. As far as the third jersey, it will be back. The team announced an 8-game schedule, all against Metro Division opponents.
Dallas Stars.
No uniform changes for Dallas this year. However, the new center ice paint job is worth a second look. It's not their primary or secondary mark, but rather the tertiary logo built around the shape of Texas. It's been part of their logo package since the 2013 rebrand, and the Stars employed a black and electric green version for their third jersey in 21. This full-color version has been seen on the pants of their primary uniforms, but I'm not sure it's ever been quite as prominent as this.
Detroit Red Wings.
Detroit is a snore as usual, nothing new to see here. That said, they will be headed to Sweden for the Global Series in November, which just means they'll have a jersey patch for a couple of games.
Edmonton Oilers.
As host of the Heritage Classic, Edmonton is adding a new sweater this season. Though they haven't announced any dates, I suspect we'll see that design indoors at least once or twice, likely on January 20th and February 24th, when we know they'll be facing the Flames in their Heritage jerseys. Beyond that, more of the same for the Oilers in terms of their primary uniforms. though they did add a new sponsor for their home helmets. And I haven't heard one way or the other on their navy blue third jersey, but no reason to think we won't see more of it this season.
Florida Panthers.
The Panthers will celebrate their 30th anniversary this season. The most prominent placement for this logo will be at center ice at the newly renamed Amerant Bank Arena, the team's previous helmet sponsor, by the way. And new this season, we're seeing an ad promoting South Florida tourism, though it was nice to see that 30th anniversary mark on their buckets in the preseason.
Los Angeles Kings.
Down to LA now, where we know the 90s-inspired third jersey will be back, chrome helmets and everything. The Kings announced 15 dates, mostly away games because the jerseys are white, but there will be 5 at home. And while at home in their standard black uniforms, there will be more sponsor advertising. The team announced new partnerships for both their helmet and their jersey. Apart from that, no changes are expected for their primary uniforms. Over the summer, I reported they might have something new in the works, but it's sounding like whatever it is might be intended for next season, not this one.
Minnesota Wild.
Minnesota will throw it back to 1978 with this new third jersey, and if it looks like their last reverse retro with a few tweaks, you're right bang on the money. Beyond replacing the reverse retro branding and NHL shield, we also get a new State of Hockey shoulder patch, along with captain's patches outlined in the shape of Minnesota. This is their first alternate uniform in the Adidas era, just in time for Adidas to go away, of course. They'll wear it 15 times this season, beginning on October 21st. Their home and away jerseys will remain the same, but if you're looking for just anything that's actually new from the Wild this year, they did implement a new word mark back in May. It looks like this, and we first noticed it during the NHL draft in Nashville. And lastly, when the Wild head to Sweden for the Global Series in November, they will have special jersey patches for those games.
Montreal Canadiens.
Much like Detroit, Montreal doesn't really like to do anything different year to year, so nothing to report here, just the Canadiens going about their normal routine. So let's move along.
Nashville Predators.
Time to celebrate 25 years of NHL hockey in Nashville. The new anniversary logo was revealed back in March, and it's one of the more interesting and unique designs that we've seen. The 2 and 5 are mirror images of each other and become fangs at the bottom. The mark will be implemented as a patch on the left shoulder of their home and road jerseys, but as far as I know, there are no plans for a throwback third or anything like that. The bad news, however, is the Predators did just sign on a jersey sponsor this season in an ugly green that seriously clashes with their color scheme. Seriously, I can't see how this sponsor will let that green on yellow survive to the end of the season. That's pretty rough.
New Jersey Devils.
The big news in New Jersey is that they are hosting the 2024 Stadium Series out of MetLife Stadium next February, and yet we still haven't seen a primary event logo, let alone jerseys. I don't expect to see uniforms until at least December, but the Stadium Series logo should be out any day now. I'm a bit surprised it's taken so long already. The Devils will host the Flyers on February 17th. Aside from the outdoor game, the Devils will have their red home, white road, and their black alternate, the jersey, but their road uniform will have a new helmet sponsor. This is part of the Devils' Buy Black program, where a local black-owned business is highlighted throughout the season. It's the 3rd year of this initiative.
New York Islanders.
The only news out of Long Island currently is the Stadium Series. They'll host the Rangers the night after the Devils and Flyers at MetLife Stadium. That's February 18th, but uniforms for those games are not likely to be shown for at least a couple of months. Beyond that, nothing new for the Islanders this year. Their standard primary uniforms, along with their NY third jersey, are all due to be back in action.
New York Rangers.
Yep, Stadium Series once again. It's all the New York area teams plus Philadelphia, but same story. No uniform news until December, more than likely. However, there is more. Third jersey reports persist for the Rangers. I still don't have solid details apart from it being navy blue, but whether it's a rehash of the Lady Liberty jersey, I couldn't say at this point. As far as release timing, I can only imagine they're holding out for a November launch to cash in on Black Friday and holiday shopping, unless they decide to bail again, and I really hope the Rangers finally do get their Adidas third jersey. We've all been waiting. Anyway, no changes are coming to their primary home and away uniforms.
Ottawa Senators.
With the Senators now officially under new ownership, it's probably just a matter of time before we see some branding changes. But for this season, they're staying the course. Home and aways will remain intact, but they will wear a jersey patch for the Global Series in November. And beyond that, they also announced a new home jersey sponsor. As an aside, I also wanted to mention Spartacat, Ottawa's odd-looking mascot since day one back in 1992. I'm told he may be getting a redesign. This is what he looks like now, along with his official cartoon artwork. But that artwork is changing. This is apparently the new version of Spartacat. The drawing is quite different from the old one and suggests the costume may be getting an upgrade as well. Hard to know for sure, but something to keep an eye on. By the way, is anyone interested in a video about NHL mascot designs? Let me know in the comments and maybe I'll put something together.
Philadelphia Flyers.
On now to Philadelphia, where we got wholesale changes this summer. The Flyers committed to a new era of orange by literally changing their shade of orange, going back from Pantone 172, if you want to be specific, to 173. It's a little darker and duller, grittier maybe. With the new orange came new home and away uniforms. The change is not dramatic. In fact, many fans probably wouldn't even notice it unless it was pointed out to them. The shoulder wings, as they're called, are wider, with single-layer sleeve numbers in reference to their original uniforms from 1967. The striping around the waist has also been simplified to a thin black hemline, and the reverse color nameplates are still intact, as is the black third jersey, which originated at the 2017 Stadium Series. And they're headed back outdoors this season to face the Devils at MetLife Stadium in February. Overall, a great look for the Flyers, but it's been taken down a peg by the color-clashing sponsor patch on the chest.
Pittsburgh Penguins.
On the other side of the state, the Penguins are not making any changes to their uniform lineup. They're even keeping the Pittsburgh third jersey, which will be worn for all Thursday home games. That's a total of 9 dates this season, starting on October 26th. They are, however, swapping out their road helmet sponsor, going from a blue logo to a green one. And as the season gets underway, we've seen a new road jersey sponsor too, making the Pens one of 8 NHL teams with ads on all of their uniforms.
San Jose Sharks.
San Jose introduced new home and away sweaters last season, so nothing new to report there. However, multiple sources have told me to expect a new alternate uniform for the Sharks this season, though none have been able to provide any details. But if we're looking for clues, maybe take a peek at the new center ice. The Finn logo that turned up as a shoulder patch on their new primary uniforms is now getting a prominent spot at SAP Center. It does make me wonder if there's a connection. The Sharks last launched a third jersey in 2018, their so-called stealth jersey in solid black. So will the new one be black as well? No timeline on this one either, so we'll just have to wait and see.
Seattle Kraken.
As Seattle embarks on just its third season in the NHL, it will play host to the next Winter Classic. Once again, jerseys are still under wraps, but I have to imagine they'll be out very soon. For now, all we have to go on is this hat artwork that leaked via Sinbin Vegas. The third jersey I reported on last year seems to have been put on the back burner because of the outdoor game. The Kraken are now likely holding off until Fanatics is ready to start rolling out new NHL uniforms in the coming years. Other than that, their home and away uniforms remain mostly the same this year, but for the addition of a new sponsor patch. In this case, a Native American tribe, which is unique among NHL jersey ads. It was announced back in February.
St. Louis Blues.
If you were wondering whether we'd seen the last of the Blues' 90s throwback, we got an answer when the team released its jersey schedule for the season, which does include a vintage theme night on March 13th. By the way, their opponent that night is Los Angeles, who we already saw will be wearing their third jersey that night as well, confirming a fun 90s uniform matchup. And it's on national TV, too. St. Louis will maintain the rest of their jersey lineup, the standard home and away, along with their 1960s throwback third, which will be worn for 11 Saturday home games.
Tampa Bay Lightning.
Reports of a new third jersey persist out of Tampa, but I have no real updates at this point. Still just hearing about a few retro touches and waiting to find out more details. That aside, the Lightning will stick to their existing home and road uniforms. No other changes are expected.
Toronto Maple Leafs.
Toronto is always the center of attention in hockey, and even more so this year as they host the 2024 All-Star Weekend. But what does that mean for the Leafs? Like every host, they are wearing the All-Star patch to promote the event, but with their sponsor patch in the usual location on the chest, they've opted for a right shoulder placement. Question is, will we see the same placement for the Global Series patch when they head to Sweden in November? In addition to the normal home and away jerseys, I'd expect to see the Bieber-designed black jersey back as the alternate, though it'd be nice to see it for more than just a handful of games. Last year, the Leafs only wore it 5 times.
Vancouver Canucks.
Speaking of black third jerseys, Vancouver's should be back for a second go-around. It didn't launch until January of last season, but the Canucks still managed to squeeze it in for 12 games. It's a great addition to their uniform lineup, which appears to be status quo this season. No big changes.
Vegas Golden Knights.
The only thing new in Vegas this year looks to be their Winter Classic uniform, which should be released any day now, or maybe any minute right after this video goes up. The Golden Knights will visit the Kraken at T-Mobile Park in Seattle for their second ever outdoor game. Remember, they played the Avs in Lake Tahoe during the COVID season. This game will be their first outdoor appearance in front of a crowd. As for the rest of their uniform lineup, nothing appears to be changing. Sparkly gold home jersey, white road option, and the gray alternate should all remain in rotation.
Washington Capitals.
Part of me was hoping to see one of these Screaming Eagle reverse retros make a return in Washington as Alex Ovechkin makes his run at Gretzky's records, but alas, I've heard of no new logos or jerseys coming for the Capitals this year. Same old, same old.
Winnipeg Jets.
Winnipeg will finally pay proper tribute to the team that inspired their primary logo. The Jets announced a new throwback jersey nicknamed the 48 in reference to the RCAF Flyers, an old amateur team made up of Royal Canadian Air Force members and veterans back in 1948. They played for and won Olympic gold in Switzerland that year. This jersey is a replica of what that team wore 75 years ago, as the RCAF itself marks its 100th anniversary next year. The Jets will wear this one for 3 games, first on December 4th. And critically, the RCAF design will not replace the team's existing third jersey, as the Heritage Blue will be worn 11 times this year, in addition to their regular home and away sweaters. That's all 32 teams covered for the 23-24 NHL season. And by my count, that's about 15 to 20 new jerseys coming from Adidas in their final season. So, what are your favorite looks for this year, and are you ready for what comes next after Adidas? Leave a note in the comments and let me know what you'd like to see the channel focus on this season. For now, that's all I've got. Drop a like on your way out if you enjoyed this video, and thank you as always for watching the Aesthetics channel. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you next time.